Welcome back. If we want to win, then the first and most important things we have to prove are the prima facie elements for each of our claims. They're not the only things we have to prove, but they are the legal foundation of our case. Keep in mind that I'm not an attorney, and actual attorneys may disagree with my oversimplification here. But one of the big things I try to do with these videos is to help those of you who don't have an attorney yet keep your claims alive until you can get one. The prima facie elements that we have to establish are different for different types of claims. What we have to show for a harassment claim, for example, is different than what we have to show for a retaliation claim. And today, I'm not going to walk through all the prima facie elements for all the different possibilities. If you guys think that a future video like that might be useful, let me know. Otherwise, I'll just drop some links in the description where you can look up the prima facie elements for your types of claims. What I do want to talk about today is why it's important that we know and understand the prima facie elements for each of our specific claims, from the very beginning of the process all the way through. And the first reason to know them comes straight out of my experience of not knowing them when I first started. I was still trying to figure all this out the first time I had to meet with my EEOC counselor, so when she asked me about my disparate treatment claim, I told her, well, yeah, since I disclosed my disability and requested reasonable accommodation, my boss has come up with all these special rules that I have to follow, but no one else does. It's stressing me out, which is making it harder for me to manage my health, and it's affecting my professional standing among my peers. And those things were good to say because they support one of the prima facie elements of a disparate treatment claim. We have to show that we suffered an adverse employment action. And if I'd stopped there, I would have been good, but I added something. Told my counselor, but I'm okay with it. What I meant was that following all those extra rules really didn't take a lot of extra effort on my part. But once I said I was okay with it, that's all my EEOC counselor heard. She's okay with it. Therefore, no harm done. Therefore, no adverse action. Therefore, no disparate treatment claim. Game over. It's that easy to lose. Whenever we're talking to EEOC or our employer during the informal process, we want to take some care to be sure that the things we're saying are things that support our case. And the best insurance I found against saying the wrong thing was to know and understand the prima facie elements for each of my claims. And besides keeping us from saying stupid things, knowing the prima facie elements can also guide us in telling our story in a clear and logical way, because the elements essentially outline how our story needs to go. And since we've already talked about my disparate treatment claim, I'm just going to stick with that example here. So here are the prima facie elements we have to establish for a disparate treatment claim. That we are a member of a protected class, we were qualified for the position, we experienced an adverse employment action, and similarly situated individuals outside our protected class were treated more favorably. So those are the major points we want to make, and that's how we want our story to flow. I'm protected, I'm qualified, they made an employment decision that harmed me, and they didn't do that to other people who weren't members of my protected class. 1, 2, 3, 4. Simple and clear. And from there, we just have to fill in the specific details of our situation. For instance, I'm protected on what basis? How do I know I'm qualified for this job? What specific employment action did they take, and how was I harmed by it? And who was in a position similar to mine but got treated better? Using the prima facie elements as an outline of our story is simplistic, but it works. It helps us make sure that our story flows in a logical way, and it keeps us focused on the relevant details, so the important parts of our story are clear. What we want to do is make sure that the story we tell clearly supports our case. Now, I'm not suggesting that anybody lied to EEOC, because my experience is that everybody who lied in connection with my case was eventually found out. But our cases have the potential to turn into lawsuits, and in a lawsuit, we get to be biased. Our side of the story is, and should be, our side of the story. It's the court's job to decide the truth. And that brings me to the third way that knowing the prima facie elements of our claims can help us. Not only are they an outline for our story, they're an outline for the evidence we're going to need to prove that story. So check the description for the links, know the prima facie elements for your claims. And I'll see you next time. Till then, take care and hang in. Fight smart.